Most men walk through relationships blind to the reality that they're constantly being tested, not in dramatic, overt ways, but in subtle emotional probes that seem harmless at first glance. A woman won't tell you she's testing you, won't even always know she is, but her subconscious is always scanning, always observing, always trying to feel your emotional weight. Can this man handle me? Can he lead when I collapse? Can he remain still when I spin out? These aren't cruel games, they're survival instincts. She doesn't want control. She wants to feel the edges of yours, and every little moment is an opportunity for her to feel it too or realize it's not there. Silence is often the first test. She goes cold, distant. She stops texting like she used to. She withholds affection. What do most men do? They panic. They reach out more. They double text. They ask what's wrong, even when they know they didn't do anything. They try to restore the connection because they fear losing it. But in doing so, they reveal something deeper. They're emotionally dependent, and she feels that. She sees that her absence has power, that her silence becomes a leash. And once she knows that, she can use it whenever she wants to shift the dynamic. She doesn't have to yell or fight or argue. She just disappears. If you chase her when she does, you've already given up your center. Then comes the jealousy. Test. She brings up a guy from work, an old friend, an ex-boyfriend. She's not really interested in him. She's interested in how you react. Will you get defensive? Will you puff up? Will you fall into insecurity and start competing with ghosts? If you do, she knows your self-worth isn't real, it's conditional. And conditional confidence never earns lasting respect. Asterisk, there's a moment in every relationship where the pressure starts to rise, not from conflict, but from subtle boundary pushes that seem like jokes, small requests, or emotional vulnerability. These aren't accidents, they're pressure points. She's testing how you carry yourself when the moment isn't romantic. When your pride is slightly challenged, when your status is lightly poked. That's where your real strength or weakness reveals itself. One of the first pressure point tests is public disrespect. Maybe she teases you in front of friends, brings up something private in a joking way, or makes a small jab at your masculinity under the mask of humor. Most men either laugh it off to avoid conflict or overreact and explode. Both are failures. One shows a man afraid of confrontation. The other shows a man who can't regulate emotion. But the man who calmly, clearly addresses it not with emotion, but with assertive presence, he passes. Because he shows her that his boundaries exist whether the lights are on or off, whether people are watching or not. Another subtle but dangerous test is when she asks for help. Emotionally, financially, physically, she leans on you. And being the kind of man who provides, you show up. You handle it. You fix it. But later she downplays it, says it was no big deal, or worse, accuses you of expecting something. In return, what's happening here is a motive check. She wants to see if your help is rooted in integrity or in seeking validation. If you defend yourself too hard, try to convince her you were selfless. You've already lost ground. But here's the truth most won't say. This test doesn't deserve to be passed, because no man should allow his efforts to be weaponized against him when appreciation turns into manipulation. The only strong move is withdrawal. She's not testing your strength anymore. She's exploiting it. Asterisk. There comes a point in many relationships where the dynamic subtly shifts, and the woman begins taking on more and more control out of desire to lead, but to test whether you will stop her. It starts small. She makes decisions for you: what to wear, what to eat, how to spend your time. At first, it feels loving, maybe even helpful. But underneath that gesture is a deeper question. Will you allow her to take your role? And if you don't push back, not with aggression, but with clear masculine direction, she keeps going. Not because she wants to run things, but because she wants to feel your leadership. If you won't take charge, she will. Not with joy, but with silent resentment. And over time, she doesn't feel safe anymore. She starts to see you as passive, unsure, and eventually unworthy of the position you once held in her heart. Then, there's the threat to leave a powerful test wrapped in vulnerability. She'll say things like, maybe we're not right for each other, or I don't think this is working. And what do most men do? They beg. They promise to change. They bend themselves backwards just to keep her. But that's exactly what she's testing. How quickly you'll abandon yourself just to hold on to her. A man who panics at the thought of being alone is easy to control.
Ow.
But a man who hears the threat and responds with calm detachment, who says if you feel you need to go, then go. Not from bitterness, but from inner peace that man passes. Because he refuses to make fear-based decisions, and then there's the steady erosion of respect through small disrespects, eye rolls, dismissive comments, ignoring your input. If you let them slide, they multiply. Because what you allow becomes your standard, and what you tolerate becomes your identity. Asterisk, she tests your emotional foundation in quieter, more deceptive ways, methods that don't look like tests at all, but are just as loaded with consequence. One of the most common is the comparison game. She casually brings up her ex or mentions something another man did for his woman, a romantic gesture, a vacation, a compliment. To the untrained mind, it sounds harmless. It's maybe even nostalgic. But to the man who understands female psychology, this is a test of stability. She's watching your micro reactions. Does your tone shift? Do your shoulders tighten? Do you try to prove yourself? Explain why you're better? That's what she's looking for, not the answer, but the insecurity behind it. Because once she sees that your sense of self-worth can be rattled by a memory, she knows your power is performative. And if you scramble to compete with a ghost, you're not showing value or begging for approval. Then there's the compliance test, the slow erosion of your personal code. It begins with a gentle request. Skip the gym today, cancel your meeting, stay in, even when you've made plans. She phrases it sweetly, almost innocently, but what she's really asking is, what matters more, me or your mission? The first time you say yes, it feels like connection. The second, like compromise. But by the 10th, you've drifted from your structure, and she feels it. She may not say it, but she begins to see you as a man who's easily swayed, whose purpose bends at the altar of her comfort. And that kind of man might feel good in the moment, but never earns lasting respect. What most men don't understand is that these soft, emotional tests are where they lose everything. Not with a dramatic failure, but with 1,000 small surrenders. A man who keeps his spine in the quiet moments is the man who keeps her desire long after the noise fades. Asterisk. The most dangerous thing a man can experience in a relationship isn't loud arguments or dramatic exits. It's the slow, quiet erosion of respect. And it begins when a woman stops testing you. Not because she's finally content, but because she's given up. She no longer challenges your strength because she's already concluded you don't have it. That's when she stops asking for your opinion, stops caring where you stand, stops reacting at all. And for most men, this is when the panic sets in. They become overly emotional, desperate to reassert their place, to reignite the connection. But it's too late, because the moment she stops testing, she's already emotionally detached. She's not pushing back anymore, because she's already walking away inside. Men who pass these tests don't do so by playing games or wearing masks. They do it by being rooted, anchored in values, boundaries, and purpose. They don't need to prove themselves. They don't try to outperform her ex. They don't collapse at the first sign of tension. They recognize the difference between emotion and manipulation, between a genuine need and a power grab. When a woman throws emotional fire, they don't match it with fire or retreat in fear. They hold still. They remain present. They speak. Few words, but every word lands with weight. That's not coldness, it's masculine stillness. And women feel that more deeply than anything you could ever say. The irony is that many women won't even realize they're testing you. These tests are instinctual, woven into their emotional code. They're not designed to hurt, they're designed to feel. To feel your depth, your leadership, your unshakable frame. And if you pass with clarity, not bravado, she doesn't just love you, she respects you, she softens, she lets go, because she finally feels safe enough to.